Pathfinder drifted silently through the darkness of deep space, Earth's first true interstellar vessel. Lieutenant Jack Miller sat at his communications station, monitoring the usual empty channels. At 32, he was the youngest member of the bridge crew, with no command training and little combat experience. His job was simple: listen for signals and translate if needed. "Another quiet day in paradise," he muttered, stretching his arms above his head. Captain Diane Foster nodded from her command chair. "Quiet is good, Miller. Quiet means—" The ship shuddered violently. Warning lights flashed across every console. "Unknown vessels, Captain," shouted the tactical officer. 3. No, 5 ships. Nothing like we've ever seen. The main screen showed sleek vessels with impossible angles that hurt the eyes. They moved with precision that defied Earth's best technology. Foster's voice remained calm. "Open all channels, Lieutenant Miller. Standard greeting package." Miller's fingers flew across his console. "Broadcasting in all formats, Captain." The response came seconds later, not as communication, but as weapons fire. The Pathfinder shook again, harder this time. Consoles exploded. Crew members screamed. "Return fire," Foster ordered, but the ship's systems were failing. Another hit rocked the bridge. Miller watched in horror as the captain was thrown from her chair, her body limp against the bulkhead. The tactical station erupted in flames, consuming its operator. "Abandoned ship," came the executive officer's voice before another explosion silenced him forever. Miller ran for the escape pods, helping injured crew along the way. He pushed 2 engineers into a pod, turned to grab another crew member. But the corridor collapsed. With no choice left, he jumped into the last functioning pod and launched. He watched through the viewport as the Pathfinder, humanity's pride, broke apart in silent flashes. The alien ships approached his tiny pod, and a strange blue light surrounded him. Then darkness. Miller woke on a cold metal floor. The chamber was dimly lit with purple light that seemed to come from nowhere. The air smelled wrong, like cinnamon and metal. A door slid open. 3 beings entered. One was tall and reptilian with gray scales and a stiff posture. Another moved like water, with blue translucent skin. The third was short with too many eyes and fingers. The reptilian spoke, its voice translated by some unseen device. Human designation and function: "Lieutenant Jack Miller, Communications Specialist, United Earth Navy," he replied, standing as straight as he could. "You are the command officer?" asked the many-eyed being. "No, I'm just a lieutenant. I translate signals." The 3 aliens looked at each other. The reptilian made a sharp gesture. "Your deception is noted. We know Earth military structure. Only command officers resist truth drugs." Miller blinked in confusion. "What truth drugs?" "The ones administered while you were unconscious," said the blue being. "Yet you reveal nothing of strategic value. Impressive mental discipline." Miller didn't understand. He was telling the truth. He wasn't trained to resist interrogation. That was for special forces and command track officers. Days passed in the strange cell. They questioned him relentlessly. Each time, they became more frustrated when their methods failed. Miller didn't realize that his normal human resilience was extraordinary to them. On the 5th day, Miller saw his chance. When the food tray arrived, he noted the guard's routine. He fashioned a tool from his cot's frame, jammed the door, and slipped out. He made it through 3 security checkpoints using intuition and quick thinking before they caught him. It took 6 guards to subdue him. In the observation room, General Kraz of the Vril watched with growing obsession. "Impossible," he hissed to his subordinates. "No ordinary officer could navigate our security so effectively. This human must be an elite operative." Dr. Tella of the Mariux studied her readings. "His neural patterns are fascinating. The human's adaptability exceeds anything in our databases." Xanthi Administrator Pell tapped his many fingers nervously. "If this is a low-ranking human, what are their commanders capable of? We must learn more." As they argued, Miller sat in his cell, planning his next move. He didn't know that he had just changed humanity's place in the galaxy forever. 6 months after the Pathfinder incident, Susan Grant hummed to herself as she tended the tomato plants in Phobos Colony's main greenhouse. The tiny Martian moon was home to only 87 people, mostly scientists, and support staff. Susan was neither. She was a greenhouse technician with a community college degree and a love for making things grow. "These should be ready next week," she told Paul, her assistant. "The colonists will be happy to have fresh tomatoes again." The alarm sounded without warning. Susan looked up, soil still on her hands. "Unknown ships approaching. This is not a drill." The voice on the speakers was tight with fear. Susan ran to the greenhouse door. Through the dome, she saw strange ships with sharp angles hovering over the colony. "Get to the shelter," she told Paul, who stood frozen. She pushed him toward the emergency bunker. They never made it. A blue light surrounded them, and everything went dark. Susan woke in a cell similar to the one Jack Miller had occupied, though she didn't know that. Her head pounded. The air smelled wrong. 3 aliens entered her cell. Susan recognized their types from the emergency briefings after the Pathfinder disappearance. The tall gray one was a Vrel, the blue flowing one was a Mariuk, and the short many-eyed one was a Xanthi. "Human designation and function," demanded the Vrel. "Susan Grant." "I grow plants," she answered, trying to keep her voice steady. The aliens looked at each other. "Deception," said the Xanthi. Another officer pretending to be a worker. Susan frowned. "I'm not an officer. I'm a greenhouse technician. I have no military training." The Mariuk moved closer. "You have already resisted 3 doses of truth serum. Only high-ranking officers have such abilities." Susan didn't understand. She was telling the truth. Days passed. They questioned her about Earth's defenses, fleet movements, and military capabilities. Susan told them she knew nothing about these things. They didn't believe her. In her cell, Susan examined everything. She noticed a loose panel near her cot. Behind it, she found pipes and wires. She didn't know what they did, but she knew plants needed water and light. Systems were systems. When the blue Mariuk came alone to question her, Susan was ready. She had disconnected a pipe and created a spray of pressurized gas. She had also removed a wire that sparked when touched against metal. The combination created a small explosion and thick smoke. Susan slipped past the stunned alien and ran. In the hallway, 2 Vril guards tried to stop her. Susan had never fought before, but fear and instinct guided her. She dodged one guard and used his momentum to push him into the other. Then she ran. She made it 3 levels before they caught her. It took 5 guards to hold her down. In the control room, Dr. Tella of the Mariux reviewed the security footage with General Kraz. "This one claims to grow plants," said Kraz, his scaled face twitching with frustration. "Yet she created a weapon from cell components and disabled trained guards," said Tella. "Her tactical thinking is remarkable." Administrator Pell of the Xanthi joined them, his many eyes blinking rapidly. First, the communications officer, now the plant grower. "Both display skills only our special forces possess." "It makes no sense," said Kraz. "Are all humans trained as elite soldiers?" Dr. Tella studied her datapad. "We've analyzed 7 humans now. The pattern is consistent. All demonstrate extraordinary resistance to truth serums. All attempt to escape using improvised methods. All show tactical thinking." "Impossible," said Pell. "No species trains every member as if they were officers." "Unless," Kraz said slowly, "they are all officers, hiding their true ranks." Or, Tella suggested, "there is something about humans we fundamentally don't understand." In her cell, Susan examined the new reinforced door. They had moved her to a higher security section. She had heard guards talking about another human prisoner who had nearly escaped. She wasn't alone. She began to plan again. These aliens didn't understand humans at all, and that was an advantage she intended to use. Captain Alan Frost lay on his stomach at the edge of a rocky cliff. Through his binoculars, he watched the alien facility below. 6 months of searching had led to this moment. "Count is still 14 guards on the outer perimeter," whispered Sergeant Betty Young beside him. Frost nodded. His 5-person team was Earth's best hope for understanding what happened to their missing people. After the Pathfinder's destruction and the Phobos colony raid, Earth had created a special operations unit for alien encounters. "Remember," Frost told his team, "we need to recover our people and gather intelligence. Priority is finding out why they're taking our people." As night fell over the alien moon, Frost's team moved. They wore experimental stealth suits that bent light around them. The suits weren't perfect, but they helped. 2 guards fell silently to Young's tranquilizer darts. Corporal Kevin Lewis bypassed the door security using technology reverse-engineered from debris found after the Phobos attack. Inside, the team moved through purple-lit corridors. They found a control room. Sergeant Young kept watch while Lewis hacked into the alien computer system. "Captain, you need to see this," Lewis said, pointing at symbols flashing on the screen. Frost didn't understand the alien language, but the images were clear. They showed humans being tested, questioned, and escaping. Each human was marked with symbols that Lewis said meant dangerous and commander. "They think all our people are commanders?" Frost asked. "Seems like it," Lewis replied. "Look at this." The screen showed Susan Grant fighting off Vrel guards during her escape attempt. "That's Grant from the greenhouse team," said Frost. "She has no combat training." "They don't know that," said Young. "Look at how they classify her." The alien text beside Grant's image used the same symbols as those next to Lieutenant Miller's image. Both were labeled as high-level threats. An alarm suddenly blared. They had been discovered. "Move to Extraction Point C," Frost ordered. "Find the prisoner section on the way." They fought through corridors, using their superior training to overcome the aliens' numbers. The Vrel soldiers were strong but moved predictably. The Xanthi commanders overthought their strategies. The team reached the prison section. "Grant," Frost called, seeing her through a cell window. Susan looked up, eyes wide with disbelief. "Earth sent someone." Lewis bypassed the lock, and the door slid open. "Are there other humans here?" Frost asked as she stumbled out. "They took Miller somewhere else," she said. "To their homeworld, I think. They call him the Exceptional One." A group of Vrel soldiers appeared at the end of the corridor. Frost's team formed a protective circle around Grant and fought their way toward the exit. In the chaos, Young grabbed a small Myriok who seemed to be a scientist. "Taking a prisoner," she called to Frost. They reached their shuttle under heavy fire. The engines roared to life, and they escaped into space. In the shuttle, Grant told them everything she knew. The Myriok scientist, Dr. Len, sat quietly in restraints, watching the humans with too many eyes. "They kept asking if I was a commander," Grant said. "They didn't believe I just grow plants." Frost looked at the alien scientist. "Why is that?" Dr. Len spoke through a translation device. "Because her abilities match our profile of command officers. As do yours." Frost turned to Lewis. "What did we get from their computers?" Lewis held up a data device. "Everything. Their research on humans, their communications, their ship locations. They're obsessed with understanding why every human they capture acts like an elite officer." Frost nodded and looked at their alien prisoner. "Well, Doctor, you wanted to study humans. Now we get to study you." As Earth grew larger in their view screen, Frost thought about Miller, still captive on a distant world. They would find him. But first, they needed to understand why these aliens sought every human as a commander. The answer would change everything. Dr. Len sat nervously in the plane room. The walls were white, the table was gray, and the chair was uncomfortable. 2 days had passed since humans captured him. They had not hurt him, but the waiting was its own torture. The door opened. A human female entered. She wore a simple blue uniform with no visible rank. "Hello, Dr. Len. I'm Olivia Carter, intelligence officer." The human sat across from him. No guards came with her. No weapons were visible. Len's many eyes blinked rapidly in confusion. Where are the guards? The truth drugs? The mind probes? He asked. Carter smiled slightly. We don't need those. We're just going to talk. Len didn't believe her. In the Concordat, interrogation required special technologies and at least 3 security officers. Would you like some water? Carter asked. Len nodded. She poured water from a pitcher, her movements casual. This was not how interrogation worked. It made no sense. Tell me about your research on humans, she said. I cannot betray Concordat secrets, Len replied. Carter nodded as if she expected this. Let's talk about something else then. How long have you been a scientist? The question surprised him. 22 cycles. I studied at the Great Academy on Marriott Prime. Impressive, she said. What made you choose xenobiology? Len found himself talking about his education, his early research, his fascination with different species. Carter listened, asked questions, seemed genuinely interested. An hour passed. Then 2. They discussed science, space travel, and the Concordat's history. Len realized too late that he had revealed much about Marriott society, Concordat politics, and the military structure of the alliance. How did you do that? He asked suddenly. You extracted information without devices or drugs. Carter looked surprised. We just talked. That's how humans learn about each other. Impossible, said Len. Only special intelligence officers can extract information through conversation alone. Yet you act as if this is normal. Carter's eyes narrowed. Dr. Len, what exactly has the Concordat concluded about humans? Len hesitated, then decided the truth might help him understand these strange beings. The Concordat High Command believes all humans are elite officers or genetically enhanced soldiers, he said. Every human we captured showed abilities that only our highest ranks possess. Carter laughed. The sound startled Len. I'm sorry, she said, seeing his reaction. But that's not true at all. Susan Grant really is just a greenhouse worker. Lieutenant Miller is a junior communications officer. But they resisted truth drugs. They escaped high-security cells. They showed tactical thinking and combat skills, protested Len. These are traits only Concordat commanders possess. Those are traits most humans possess, Carter explained. Our history is full of conflict. Those who couldn't adapt died. Those who survived passed on their traits. Len's eyes widened as understanding came. Your entire species evolved under pressure that only our elite experience. Something like that, Carter agreed. We don't have rigid hierarchies like the Concordat. Any human might need to lead, fight, or solve problems. This changes everything, Len whispered. The Concordat believes humans have a secret military structure where commanders pose as workers. But the truth is more frightening. You are all capable of commander-level thinking. Carter nodded. Now I need you to explain how Concordat society works. Why are your species so different? Len explained how the 3 Concordat species evolved with strict hierarchies. The Vrel military only trained their elite for creative thinking. The Xanthi bureaucracy limited strategic planning to upper administrators. The Marioks taught scientific innovation only to their brightest. The concept that any human could think creatively, resist coercion, and adapt to new situations was revolutionary. As Carter left the room, Len called after her. If every human thinks like our commanders, what are your actual commanders capable of? Carter paused at the door. You'll find out soon enough. We're sending a ship to get our people back. The U.S. Defender glided through space, Earth's newest and most powerful warship. On the bridge, Commander Peter Walsh watched the stars streak by. The ship carried a diplomatic team to meet with the Concordat Council and negotiate for the return of all human captives, especially Lieutenant Miller. We're approaching Concordat space, Commander, said the navigator. Walsh nodded. Slow to half speed. Let them see us coming. The ship had been designed to impress as much as to fight. Humans had learned much from studying Concordat technology captured during the rescue mission. 2 Vrel warships appeared on the sensors. They approached cautiously, but did not attack. "They're hailing us, sir," said the communications officer. On screen, Walsh ordered. A Vrel commander appeared, his scaled face stiff with formality. "Human vessel, you are permitted to proceed to Concordat Prime. Follow our escort precisely." The journey to the Concordat homeworld took 3 days. Walsh used the time to prepare. He studied everything they knew about the 3 alien species. He reviewed Dr. Len's information about their society and beliefs. The Defender docked at a massive space station orbiting a blue-green planet. Walsh led his 5-person team to the meeting hall. Each wore formal Earth uniforms with minimal weapons, as agreed. The council chamber was impressive. 3 raised platforms held representatives from each species, 5 Vrel in military uniforms, 7 Xanthi with their many eyes blinking nervously, and 3 Mariux gliding in flowing robes. "Welcome to Concordat Prime," said the lead Xanthi, Administrator Vel. "We are surprised Earth sent only 6 representatives." Walsh smiled slightly. 6 is enough. The aliens seemed unsettled by this confidence. "We have reviewed your demand for the return of your people," said General Kraz of the Vrel. "Before we proceed, we require information." "What information?" Walsh asked. "How do you augment your soldiers and civilians?" Kraz demanded. "Every human we captured showed abilities our species reserve for commanders and specialists." Walsh looked at his team, then back at the council. "We don't augment our people." "Impossible," a Xanthi administrator said. "Your greenhouse worker resisted 3 doses of truth serum. Your communications officer escaped 4 high-security cells." Walsh stepped forward. "What you don't understand is that humans evolved differently than your species. Our planet had thousands of predators. We fought countless wars among ourselves. Those who couldn't adapt died. You expect us to believe all humans naturally have these abilities?" asked Dr. Tella of the Mariux. "Yes," said Walsh. "In your society, only commanders think creatively. Only specialists solve complex problems. But human history forced these traits on everyone." The council members looked at each other in shock. A species where everyone thinks like a commander is a fundamental threat to galactic order, said Administrator Vel, his many eyes wide with fear. General Kraz leaned forward with interest. "Or they could be the ultimate warriors. The Vrel would propose an alliance with humans." "The scientific possibilities are fascinating," added Dr. Tella. "The Mariux propose knowledge exchange." Walsh raised his hand for silence. "Before we discuss alliances or exchanges, we want our people returned. All of them." The aliens argued among themselves. Walsh waited patiently. His team remained calm, watching the aliens with trained eyes. Finally, Administrator Vel spoke. "We will return your captured people, except Lieutenant Miller." "That's not acceptable," Walsh said firmly. "You don't understand," said General Kraz. "Miller is being held in our highest security facility. He has escaped 7 times. He injured 15 guards. He organized other prisoners. If he is truly just a communications officer, what are your actual commanders capable of?" Walsh smiled. "Return Miller, and you won't have to find out." The threat was clear. The Concordat Council whispered urgently among themselves. "Very well," said Administrator Vel. "We will return all humans, including Miller, but we request formal diplomatic relations with Earth." "That can be arranged," Walsh agreed. As they worked out the details, Walsh thought about what they had learned about the Concordat. These aliens feared humans because they couldn't understand how ordinary people could do extraordinary things. It was humanity's greatest strength, and now, their greatest diplomatic advantage. Lieutenant Jack Miller sat on the hard floor of his cell in the Concordat's highest security prison. After months in captivity, he had learned to track time by the guard's shift changes. 3 more hours until the night shift began. This cell was his 14th. Each time he escaped, they moved him to a more secure location. This one had no visible door seams, no loose panels, and a force field that shocked anyone who touched it. But Miller had found a pattern in the force field. Every 6 hours, it flickered for 2 seconds during a power cycle. Most wouldn't notice. Miller had been watching for days. Beyond his cell, he knew there were 22 other prisoners, none human, all considered high risk. Over months, Miller had communicated with them through tapping codes on the walls and floors. Tonight, he tapped to his neighbor, a 4-armed being called Krek. Pass it on. Miller had no way of knowing that Earth had sent a diplomatic mission. He only knew he couldn't wait any longer. When the night shift guards arrived, Miller was lying on the floor, not moving. "The human is down," said one guard to another in their language. Miller had learned enough to understand. The force field dropped. 2 guards entered carefully. This human had hurt many of their comrades. Miller remained still until they were close. Then he moved with speed that surprised even himself. He twisted one guard's shock stick away and used it on both of them. The force field was down. Miller slipped out and ran to the control panel. He had memorized the prison layout during previous escape attempts. He knew which buttons to press. Alarms blared as 22 cell doors opened. "Follow me if you want freedom," Miller shouted in the common trade language. Beings of various shapes and sizes emerged. Some had been captives for years. All were considered dangerous by the Concordat. "Why should we trust you?" demanded Krek. "Because I've escaped 7 times, Miller replied. "This time we all go, or none of us do." Miller led them through corridors, avoiding most guards. When they had to fight, the escaped prisoners worked together surprisingly well. Miller assigned tasks based on each being's strengths, just as he'd learned in basic training. They reached the shuttle bay and took control of a transport vessel. Miller had studied Concordat technology during previous escapes. He could fly their ships. "Can you really pilot this?" asked a serpentine alien named Sith. "Watch me," Miller said, activating the engines. They blasted out of the prison station. Pursuit ships followed immediately. "We need weapons," called Krek. "No," Miller replied. "We need to hide." He piloted the shuttle into a nearby asteroid field. The pursuit ships followed, but Miller's flying was unpredictable. He zigged when they expected him to zag. He used asteroids for cover. He fought like a fugitive, not a soldier. In the Concordat control room, General Kraz watched in astonishment. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "One junior officer outmaneuvering our best pilots." "It's more than that," said Administrator Vell. "Look at these readings. The other prisoners are working together under his command. Species that normally hate each other. The human organized them into a functional unit in less than an hour," said Dr. Taylor. "This is beyond anything we've seen." On the stolen shuttle, Miller plotted a course to neutral space. If they could reach it, the Concordat wouldn't follow. "We're going to make it," he told his unlikely crew. Then a massive ship appeared ahead of them. Miller tensed, ready for another fight. The communication system activated. A human voice spoke. "Lieutenant Miller, this is Commander Walsh of the U.S. Defender. We've come to take you home." Miller stared in disbelief at the Earth vessel. "You came for me." "For all our people," Walsh replied. "We've reached an agreement with the Concordat. You're free to go." As Miller guided the shuttle toward the Defender, news of his final escape spread throughout Concordat space. The Miller Protocol, they called it. One human's ability to unite diverse prisoners into an effective escape team. It became legendary among the Concordat species, further cementing their belief that humans were unlike any species they had encountered before. Earth's Grand Meeting Hall was filled with important people. Military officers in formal uniforms stood next to scientists in lab coats and politicians in suits. At the front of the room, a stage held a podium with Earth's flag behind it. Commander Peter Walsh watched from the side as Lieutenant Jack Miller and Susan Grant received medals for their bravery. Both looked uncomfortable with the attention. For extraordinary service to humanity and establishing humanity's place among the stars, said Admiral Nancy Rivera as she pinned the medals. The crowd applauded loudly. Miller stepped to the microphone. I just did what anyone would do. I wanted to come home. Those simple words made the Concordat representatives shift nervously in their seats. To them, the idea that anyone would escape their highest security prison 7 times was terrifying. After the ceremony, Earth's leaders met with the Concordat representatives in a large conference room. 3 Vrel, 3 Xanthi, and 3 Mariux sat across from humans. The terms of our agreement are clear, said Admiral Rivera. Earth will join the Galactic Concordat as a full member, not a subject. General Kraz of the Vrel nodded. Agreed. We also accept the new protocol for handling human captives in any future conflict. Administrator Vel of the Xanthi read from a document. All humans, regardless of rank or information, will be treated as high-ranking officers with maximum security and diplomatic consideration. The Miller Protocol, said Dr. Tella of the Mariux, named after your lieutenant who proved our assumptions correct. Miller, sitting quietly at the end of the table, looked surprised. You're naming a protocol after me. Your actions changed our understanding of humans, explained Dr. Tella. What we thought was exceptional is apparently normal for your kind. Walsh explained to Miller. The Concordat believed only their highest officers could resist interrogation, plan escapes, adapt to new situations, and lead others. They couldn't understand how a junior communications officer could do these things. But that's just being human, said Susan Grant. Exactly, agreed Admiral Rivera with a smile. That's our advantage. The treaty was signed with formal ceremony. Earth joined the galactic community not as newcomers to be tested, but as equals to be respected. Despite having less advanced technology, humans had earned unprecedented respect. Later that evening, at a reception, Miller stood with Grant watching the aliens mingle with humans. I still don't understand why they're so impressed, said Miller. I'm not special. I did what anyone would do. Grant smiled. That's what scares them. The fact that ordinary humans can do what only their best can do. Across the room, a human waiter dropped a tray of drinks. Without thinking, he caught 3 glasses before they hit the floor, while letting the tray itself fall to soften the impact. The Concordat representatives watched with wide eyes and nervous whispers. See that? Said Grant, pointing. To them, that's officer-level reflexes and decision-making. That waiter just made a split-second choice about what to save and how. Miller laughed. That's just normal human stuff. And that's why they'll always treat us like officers, said Grant. Every human thinks like an officer to them. Admiral Rivera joined them, smiling. The Concordat has already changed their military training. They're trying to teach their regular soldiers to think like humans. Will it work? Asked Miller. Dr. Tella doesn't think so, said Rivera. Their species evolved differently. Their society has been hierarchical for thousands of years. They can't just change that. So Earth has a permanent advantage, said Grant. Yes, agreed Rivera. Not because of our technology or weapons, but because of who we are. Because every human, from a lieutenant to a greenhouse worker, can think, adapt, and lead when needed. Outside the windows of the reception hall, stars shone brightly. Among them were new allies, new enemies, and new possibilities. Humanity had found its place, not through superior firepower, but through the unexpected strength of ordinary people doing extraordinary things. Somewhere in that vast darkness, other species were already whispering warnings to each other. Be careful with humans. Every one of them is an officer, no matter what they claim.